Hello, everyone. My name is Jay, and I'm a senior coach at the Zing Project, and I've got scary looking eyes. Let me turn down the brightness. That's better. And we are hosting our webinar this evening on motivation. Now, motivation, if you can harness both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, that is the key to success in business. It really is. So extrinsic motivators are things from our external world that motivate us. So for an example, that would be creating an environment in your salon business that allows your team to be motivated. So that's external motivation, extrinsic motivation. Then there's internal motivation. So what makes you get up in the morning? What makes you get up and dance into your salon and give your best? What has allowed you to have that fire, that burn within? So Lisa Conway is presenting tonight on some of the common mistakes, and also she'll be unpacking some advice around how you can motivate yourself, because you always have to start with you, and also how can you create an environment where you can motivate your team. Now, the curveball is tonight that Lisa Conway is actually in Bali. And due to the terrible internet connection, let alone electricity connection in Bali, she's already had one earthquake since she's been there, she decided to pre-record the webinar. So I'm your host for this evening. Lisa will be delivering the content when I press go on her webinar, and I will be here at the end of the webinar to answer any questions that you have. So hang on until the end, because Elisa has an amazing offer for you as well. So I'm going to wave my magic wand. I'm going to click a few buttons and we are going to get started. So before we do, give me a hoi hoi in the chat box below to make sure that your audio and the connection's working. Do we have good audio and good connection, everyone? Yes. Yes, 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 all good. Thank you very much. And by the way, give me a happy birthday. I'm 33 today. I know what you're thinking. This lighting's very flattering. I've turned one of the lamps off. Happy birthday. Thanks, Leanne. So young from Jess. Yes, I am. I couldn't help myself. Well, let's get started.
Hello, everybody. I'm really pleased to be talking to you tonight. But this picture is actually where I am. At the moment, I'm in Bali on a holiday for 3 weeks, and it's probably the first holiday that I'm ever going to have. The first holiday I haven't been in touch with people. I thought, I'm going to have a holiday and I'm not going to write a book. I'm not going to write any articles. I'm not going to plan it. Just going to have a holiday. So Jay should have introduced the webinar, and he should be there at the end to answer any questions. I want to talk to you today about motivation, because I feel a little bit that people don't really understand motivation. And I think that if you are a salon owner, then part of your job, probably 2/3 of your job, is to make sure that everybody's on board. That means to make sure that they're motivated. So lots of things motivate us, and I'm going to go through that a little bit with you tonight. But for me, I'm really motivated by having some time out. I'm a good worker. I'm a hard worker. I actually play hard as well. And I like to have time out. I don't mind that I do long hours when I'm on the game and doing my job, but I also don't want to be someone who doesn't have holidays. And so a motivation for me is to have time off. But for some people in your team, it might not be that. And that's why I think you have to understand that until you find out what motivates a person, you can't really provide the goods. And it's really important to do that. There's nothing wrong with understanding that people need motivating. And I'll take you through that now. I can click the right button. Where do I click here? Oh, who would have thought the space bar, hey? Lucky Simon's here. So where motivation begins, if you're a salon owner, it begins with you, the leader of the team. But for all motivation, it should begin with yourself. If you're not motivated for yourself, then who the hell would be motivated for you? It's okay to get ideas from people. It's okay to, lose your way a little bit. I often say that, I'm a pretty good cook and I could cook for myself for the rest of my life. I would never starve to death. But when I watch any of those cooking shows, I get motivated. It sort of tops my tank up. That's what you have to understand, is that Jamie Oliver or Nigella Lawson or any of those people, they're leaders. And so we look to them for more motivation. So who's the leader in your business? Surely it's you. Who's the leader in our industry? Maybe that's you too. I don't know. But you should be looking to someone for motivation, the same way as you're looking at what I'm doing now for motivation. You don't have people that you admire or people that you'd like to be like, or people that you just think like they do. It's always great to have people in your life that motivate you. But everything begins with you. Very important to remember that, I think. So what I do today is I write books, I speak on stage, I train my coaches, I decide whether a salon's suitable to work with us or not. But you know what? It's not always been like that. I think you must understand that sometimes you have this doubt that creeps into you. Sometimes you feel really motivated that you can take on the world. And when I first wrote that book, I thought, I didn't even know if anyone would read it, to be honest. I said to the bloke who was teaching me, I said, couldn't we just put a cover and a back on it and maybe, because I'm not sure they'll even open it and read it. Well, they have. It's been really well received and there's been thousands and thousands sold. So what you've got to think about is sometimes you think about the really big picture, but I also think you need to think about the smaller picture. So if Andrew Griffith, who taught me how to write a book, had said to me, you'll end up writing 3 or 4 or maybe 5, would have been really, hello, I'd just be happy to get one written. So you have to think long term and you have to think short term. What I do today is nothing like I thought I would end up doing. And I bet if you go back to when you were 20, and you look at where you are today, it's probably nothing like you thought you would. And so when I think of my 20-year-old self, I think, really? I'm going to end up writing 3 books and travelling around the country speaking to a room full of hairdressers, and they would actually listen to what I had to say. Oh, my God, that's amazing. Can't believe that. At the moment, I'm just learning to cut hair. So I think we get a little bit lost as to what you're doing and why. And I think sometimes just dream big. It's really fun to dream big. So when I was growing up, motivation wasn't something that anybody gave to you. It was something that you just worked out yourself. So this is a family shot and I'm the one in the pink circle. This is me. I was 16 at my sister's wedding. And so we didn't really get much attention. Nobody ever motivated you to be the best you're ever going to be. They all made us feel that we were capable of everything, but no one was there to pump up your tyres. No one was there to say, oh, this would be a really good idea. What about this? What about that? No, they didn't. You only got some attention if you're in trouble, if I'm really honest. And it was a fun environment to grow up in, but it's very different to the way we are today. So we were really taught that you needed to be accountable for your own actions and you're in charge of your own motivation. Nobody ran around saying, oh, you poor little thing, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? You just got left. You know, it was like a stampede of elephants. You just got crushed. So I find it really difficult that people today need someone to motivate them. I really struggle with that. I do. And I feel like that's probably because the family sizes are smaller today, whereas in my family it was just survival of the fittest. That's all it was, and I didn't know any better. So it's really interesting to see where you grew up and how that shapes you today. It certainly shaped me. And why I share what I do, this is a photo of our little baby. He's called Obi, and he's one of our clients' baby. And when she first came to ask me, I actually posted something out in the mail and she looked at it and thought, all right, I'll talk to her. I drove out to a salon and I sat in the cafe and talked to her and she thought flat out. She had lots of things that she wanted to tell me. She was concerned about this and concerned about that. And I thought, wow, this is one hell of a motivated girl. She was about, I don't know how old she was, maybe late 20s, very motivated, had a salon for a couple of years, absolutely beautiful salon, was busy, full of people. I got to know her more, there was things that she was probably wasting her time on, and there was things that she was doing really, really well. And what happened after that is we started to collaborate on what she needed to be doing. And one of her things was maybe she might have a family. Well, that gives me the greatest joy to think that I had some part of her being really comfortable when the baby arrived. Because what can motivate people to actually take on a coach is they know things are about to change. I don't know how many times I've started working with someone and then they tell me we're thinking about starting a family. And I go, oh, good, give me a couple of months. And then about 2 meetings in, they're already pregnant. I go, really? You couldn't hang off a bit? Sometimes the greatest motivation of all is a line in the sand, that something is about to happen. So you might have to move your salon, that can motivate you. You might have to, you might want to go to America for a whole month to visit some loved ones. That'll motivate you to get it done. It might be that you're wanting a baby. One of the things that gives me the greatest joy is that lets young mums be with their little bucks. But this was the day that I met Kobe for the first time. Have a look at him. Look at his legs. You could just bite them, couldn't you? Not allowed to. You get into trouble for that. But he was one cute little fella. So our journey today is about motivation and looking at it from a few angles because I want you to truly understand it. The first thing that has to happen, it's just normal. If you're going to lead a team, somebody needs to be the coach. So what we do is we coach you to coach your salon members. And then it doesn't matter if somebody goes because once you have those skills, you can just teach it to the new one on the team. I also want you to think about fixing it once, that you don't have to keep motivating. When you change the culture in your business, things will change forever. That's a really exciting place to be. But it's also an opportunity to grow yourself as a person, as a leader, also for the culture in your business to grow and for the team members to grow personally. And that everybody needs to be on the same page. No point having a Debbie Downer dragging everybody's morale down. That's just not on. Just can't happen. Being a leader, it is your job to inspire and to be the inspiration that your team would like to be. I'd like to think that anybody who works for you would look at you and go, wow, she's awesome, or he's awesome. Love the way that he's always in a great mood. I love the way that he's there for us when he needs it. I love. Right? That's what a good leader is. When you look at someone and think, wow, that's what you need to be. If your team members will look at you going, I don't know where they're going. He doesn't even know what boat he's in, never alone which direction he's rowing in. That's really off-putting. And that's the fastest way to lose your team members. I always think you need to be showing them the big picture, showing them and inspiring them and to tell them where you want to go. Really important to say, this is the way we're going and I'm going to be the person to lead you. It's a really cool place to be. But leadership is a skill like anything else. You know, you think about some of the things that you've learnt over the years, whether it's cutting hair or doing all your skin treatments, it doesn't matter. When you started, you had no idea. And then you learnt it. Step by step, piece by piece, you learnt it. And leadership is no different. Once you learn it, it's really exciting because you'll take on leadership in your friendship relationships. You'll take on being the leader with your partner, perhaps with your family members. It's really cool. And if you can teach people to listen to you and to be heard and you listen to them, it's really important. That's what you want to be, the leader. Everybody has to be on the same page. So this is something that a salon that I've worked with has printed it out and put it up in the refrigerator in the back room or somewhere. Because if you have a language that's universal in your business, it's really easy to just say a sentence that'll take you back to that learning. It's like, I don't know, when you were a kid, probably it's the same for you, but my mum used to say, if I have to pull over this car and smack somebody, we'd all go, we'd all behave. Just the story about how one day somebody got smacked. I don't even know if anybody did get smacked, but the thought of it was just right. Everybody straighten up because mum's cross. So sometimes you have to make an example of something or have a point where everybody is on the same page. So above and below the line is a fantastic tool used in the corporate world a lot. And I think it took me a long time to remember in which order they came. So the easiest way is to say OAR, above the line and bed or bed. And then think about the words. And eventually you get to say them so often like I do that you understand. So the worst place to be is in denial. So if you're in denial, you wouldn't even be watching this webinar because you'd go, no, it's all good, everything's perfect, I don't need anything. No, I'm fine. That would be denial. The next place up from that is either blame or excuses. So let's say we're looking for a team member. Can't find one, right? So if you're in denial, you'd be saying, oh, I need a team member. What do I need a team member for? I'm fine. I don't need to grow. That would be denial. But if you're in the position of excuses and blame, you'd say, well, the industry's buggered. People don't want to join our industry because, and they might say, well, I've advertised and I can't find anyone. You go, and the reason why I can't find anyone is anybody today would happily work in a nightclub or pub because they get better money or whatever. Okay? So you make excuses. So what happens is that's below the line. So all that negative type bullshit excuses just attracts more people making also negative and below the line excuses. You don't want to be there, all right? Where you want to live is above the line. So you want to be responsible for your actions. You want to be accountable for your actions. So when you think about finding a team member, people say, well, I can't find anyone. I say, well, where did you advertise? I say, on Seek. Okay, so how long ago? Oh, last time was about 6 months ago. Did you get anyone? Yeah, I had a couple, but they were hopeless. Didn't work out. One didn't show for an interview. Yeah, okay. So why don't you advertise again? They go, because it's $300. Like, it's a waste of money. I'm thinking, okay, right. So I'm thinking, if you haven't got $300 to pay for an ad, you've got bigger problems than finding a team member. Like, why don't you have money put away to pay for an advertisement? And maybe your ad's shit. Maybe you're not writing an ad in a way that someone would be attractive. Maybe it's, I want this, I want that, you must have that, must be enthusiastic and exciting, blah, blah, blah. Really? Like, that ad was written in, 1985. People don't want to be spoken to like that today. So you have to take ownership of the problem that you aren't attracting anyone. You're not a leader's bottom. That's why nobody wants to follow you. That's the truth. People don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. But when you start taking ownership and you have a culture in your business where you have a one-to-one meeting every week, you have a team meeting at least once a fortnight, you can even do that once a week as well. If you take ownership, motivation, and morale and say, you know what, I haven't been the best boss, but I'm going to. I'm going to learn to be a great boss. And I'm going to take this place to a place where you just think, wow, this is the best place I've ever worked. And the first thing I'm going to do is every time I meet you is say, I'll frustrate you working here. What is it that I could do better as a boss? How many do that? And that's extreme ownership. That's saying, I am going to change everything in my business. Everything that happens to me is my fault. Boom. Now, that's not easy for us to do because as an industry, we're used to getting our praise on the day immediately. The changes like this are going to take a while to do. And if you can't be tolerant and patient, you're not going to last. And this is where you get grumpier and grumpier. So people don't put ads on the front of their businesses. They don't go to where communities hang out. They don't go to events and things like that. They don't hang around with their own people. They don't do anything in the community. They don't give back to anybody. And guess what? Nothing comes to shite. I think, really, you know what? The person who needs to change is you the most. And when you are that wonderful person who is so excited to see everybody who works on them every day, who comes in before everybody else and sets up the salon and does their share of the caring and being considerate, things will change for you. Right? One of the things you might want to do is get them to anonymously say what they think of the way that they're treated at work and how you are out of 10 as a boss and what could you do. If you can get that to you anonymously, then you'll get honest feedback. Really important. It's fascinating. Once you take ownership of what's going on, it's almost like the next week you get these applicants and you think, how would they have known? I don't know how it works, but it's this magic energy. It's once you decide to step it up, once you decide to be the best boss ever, things start to change for you. It's really, really important that everyone's on the on the same line. So what happens then next, after everybody's understood this and they believe that everybody can change, and then when they are below the line, you just say, I think that was a bit below the line. And they go, okay, get it. Or if someone's doing something really good, you say, that is so above the line thinking. Good on you. And then it's just a simple reference point. We use it all the time. Actually, my partner said something to me today. We've just flown in from Auckland working, and then I'm just in a hotel tonight and going to Bali tomorrow. And I was grumpy about everything, and Simon said, I think it's a bit below the line. I don't know when he last said that to me. It doesn't happen very often, but I'm tired and grumpy. And so I was, and I thought, yes, I'm sorry. True, it's true. Sorry about that. Because it's all right, no worries. Just pointed it out like you need to do. Everybody in your business should be doing. Really cool tool to have. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to take a closer look. Now, everything we have a work out at Zing. And the reason we use this is because when you unpack something in front of somebody, it makes more sense. So we want to take this salon that's already good and we want to make it great. Let's think of something else. Let's think about why you don't have any team meetings, right? And you'll say, okay, so the reason, step number one is the problem. Well, so what's the problem? We don't have team meetings. Okay, someone mentioned that we should, and I just thought, I don't think we need to. Right? It's too hard to get them all in the same day, blah, blah, blah. So what's the problem with not having a team member? What's the real problem? The real problem is the communication's not there. So you think about all the things, say if you've got 5 on team, you think about all the things that you could tell everybody in one go. So if you had 5 people in the room, you could give a 15-minute message about your marketing plan, the hours that you plan to close over the Christmas break or whenever it is. You could tell everybody in one go. And that 15 minutes is 15 minutes. Now, if you have 5 on team and you have to take 15 minutes to tell each one, you're going to be bored by the time you get to the one. Then you've got to think, have I told her? I can't remember if I told her. Whereas if you're all together in the meeting, it really lifts morale. And that motivation about what are we going to do and how are we going to do it and would it be good to change the hours, and maybe what we could do is we could finish early on Christmas Eve, but maybe the week before we could open up 4 more hours on a Monday night and we could get extra clients in then. So when you are all on the same page, you're very motivated. So the problem is that someone's making decisions about the trading hours without getting buy-in. That's the real problem. Right? So then you look and you think, well, what about the next step is the step 2 process, which is diagnosing the facts. How often have we closed over Christmas? Have we closed for 3 days before? Have we closed for 2? Have we closed for 5? Did the money drop? How much did it drop? How many days were we closed? You have to go into your computer and look at the facts and say, well, how many people worked last year on Christmas Eve? Right? How many people worked? How many hours did we work between Christmas and New Year? So the more facts you get, then you go to the next step and you get really clear. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So we had 3 and look, it was very booked out and the money was this, and you could really get some facts and then you'd be able to understand and be really aware, really clear. I think, yep, that makes sense. Okay, so there was 3 on and really we've only done probably 2 columns worth of work, not 3. Okay, now I'm much clearer. So only then, and you might go, all right, well, let's go back and have a look. What were they? Were they glowways? Were they complicated colours? Were they laser and peels? Probably not. Maybe people don't want to have their faces zapped so that they're looking ordinary on Christmas Day. I don't know. But what you have to do is just keep going back and getting more facts, and then you become clear and get some more facts, and then you become clear. And only then can you go to step 4, which is making a plan and actioning the plan. So by looking back at last year's trading hours for Christmas, you can go, I get it. Yep, I get it. I think that we don't need 3 on a day, the 3 days between Christmas and New Year. I think 2 is plenty by looking at last year. Or it might be that you didn't do any promotions or ads or anything, and maybe you could put a special on if you wanted to, all 3 wanted to work between Christmas and New Year. Maybe they want to take off time, at the end of January or something like that when kids have gone back to school. I don't know. But through a meeting, you could have a discussion, and instead of spending 20 minutes asking everybody, you could ask everybody together. We'd all be on the same page. We'd be really clear. We've gathered the facts. We've got a plan together. Then we'll review it. So after the Christmas time is gone, let's write it down now where it's fresh. Put it on the notes on the day, on the computer. So when you go back next year, you can have it. That's a process. We do that process for everything that we unpack. It's really, really cool. So I can often draw it in a circle. I draw it in a circle when I'm dealing with people. I just put 1 at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I write first is the problem. Well, what's a real problem? So the problem might be that you're angry with somebody because they came to work, and it's not late. It's not that they came to work 3 minutes late. That's just the 14th time that the person's done it. And more of the facts are that she never ever apologises for being late. She never rings if she's late. She leaves a fine out the front. So that you feel when you diagnose a fact, when you get really clear, it's that you feel disrespected. You feel that she doesn't respect you as a boss. Then you can make up a plan around that. How do I talk to her about it? How do I get to a better place? So by doing this, this is a way that you solve the problem. It's really cool. You'll absolutely love it. Just do it for everything. Looking for ways to praise all day. Okay, it's really important that you do praise people when you see it. Sometimes you just got to grin and put a thumbs up. There's so many ways that you can praise someone. You could write on a card and say, you know what, you're awesome. I'm so glad you work here. That's it. You don't have to buy them a gift or do anything like that. I think everybody likes a handwritten card. You can say it, but I don't think it's as powerful as a handwritten card. Gen Y apparently want to be praised 6 times a day. So if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 on team, that's a lot of praising. You know what? They love it. They've grown up in an environment, most of them, where they have been extremely praised. Not like the way I was grown. It was very different in my time. And that's why I found it quite interesting that they wanted to be praised and thinking, what? Just to do your job. I remember this time when we were having trouble with one of the girls and she was not respecting my manager. Everything I did, she was fine. I couldn't work out what the problem was with the manager. I couldn't stand. She didn't have that respect. And I said, you just need to praise her. And she goes, for what? I said, well, what has she done good today? She goes, nothing. I said, really nothing. And I said, so is she late? She goes, no, she's always here early. I said, well, praise her on that. She goes, oh, my God, that's her job. Why do I have to praise her on the job? I said, what? What you're doing isn't working. What I'm doing is working. So you can argue the point and stay where you are, or you can listen and I can give you some tips. Don't praise her. I'm always being work on time. She went. And it worked. She got her respect. It's really important. The other thing that I want you to do is I want you to call it when it happens. I can't believe how many people go, I never got a chance to talk to her. I think we work with her for 12 hours. You say, excuse me, would you come out the back, please? I just want to say something. And she say, very loud. Everybody else in the salon does not want to hear everything about you. I just call it then. When you get that culture, it's really important that they know if you're not saying anything, everything's standing. You really need to call it when it happens. Too often, the team members go home, the salon owner stays behind and does the team and does everything on her own, and nobody ever has a debrief. It's wrong. You have to call it when it happens. You have to become the leader that they need you to be. You have to ask them, what kind of leader would you like me to be? Are you a person who'd like to be praised? Are you a person who this? Are you a person who is that? Find out. How would you ever know? You are different to every one of your clients. Every one of your clients. For some people, you'd be this cheeky, young 20-year-old. For other people, you're quite sensible and caring and thoughtful. And for others, you talk about sport all the time, and others you talk about your dogs. You're many, many people to your clients. Then you need to be the same for your team members. You've got to treat them all differently. I've got identical twins, not identical twins, fraternal twins, and I have to treat them differently. I got them on the same bloody day. You'd reckon they'd be the same. They're not. They're very different. Right? And one, you can't say things. He's far more sensitive than the other. And then my daughter's different again. So you can do it. You do it. Just be more conscious of it. It's really important that you do. So to recap, you have to understand that it is going to happen. It's normal. You have to praise people. You have to. All day, every day. You must praise people. The other thing is you must fix it once. And by fixing it once is when you unpack the problem and you say, what's the real problem? Okay, they say the problem is this, but what's the real problem? Okay, and you go through that system when you do have a problem. You work it out once, and it's good. Right? You can even record it. You could record it just with a voice memo on your phone. You could record it with Zoom like I am now. It's always an opportunity. It is always an opportunity to grow. It's always an opportunity to help someone. You need to be ready with a plan. You need to be ready with a plan on how things are going to be better. One of the greatest things I ever learned was what frustrates you. Because it's really important when you go into admit you do have a plan. Because when you find out what frustrates you, you can fix it together. And you'll uncover things that you hadn't even thought were a problem. And the last one is that everybody must be on the same page. You cannot get in a canoe and row if everyone's facing the other way. You just can't. You have to have them all facing the same way. And the leader says, right, oars up, right, oars in, go, stroke, stroke. That's what they do. Someone is calling the tune, and it's really important that someone is you. So I want to ask you now, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What is it that you want from your business? What would you need to do? How would you trust someone to help you? Right? Like this little kitten is sitting on the dog. That dog could bite that cat's head off. They don't. They're good mates and they trust each other. That's a really good place to get to in your business. For some of you, you would have traits like I did when I grew up where I didn't praise people because I thought, why do they need to be praised? I wasn't praised. I didn't know any better. I had to change the way that I did business because I was struggling to find people to work for me. I was virtually invisible. I wasn't praising enough. I just thought that's their job, paying them, aren't I? And that was the wrong attitude. What I want to do is I'm happy to talk to you about your business and see what it is you need. But I also think that if you wanted to, I can give you some time during a discovery. So the first thing we do is we talk to you first. And then if you want to have a discovery, then we'll go from there. So in a discovery, it's an hour with me. Now, you can have a discovery if you just want an hour of my time and you want to go through whether you should buy a business or move a business or whether you should add beauty or whether you should take it out or whatever, because I can do that for someone who just wants to know one problem and solve it. And I do that. But the other way that I'd like to talk to you is when you've had your 15 minutes, maybe you need a coach. Maybe you think it's time to step it up. Maybe you'd like to fix the problems once and for all. Get some systems in place so that you don't go mental repeating yourself. Maybe you've got a great team, but you just can't get them to perform. Or they do, but they're inconsistent. That's probably the most common. They can do it, and when you look at the busiest months and you think, why can't we do this all year round? Well, you can, but it's going to take some strategy. It's going to have some really serious look at the numbers, where the money comes from, who makes the money, and what services make the money. Because it's really important to unpack that first. And that might be something you want to do. What I know for sure is I wished I got a coach much earlier than I did, because they see things that you can't see. You're too close to the prize. I was too close to the prize. And I just thrived under that environment where I got lots of praise and we had a big picture of what we were going to fix. And it was probably the coolest time in my whole career. And I was discovering all these things about my business. It was really, really good. I remember it so fondly. It wasn't always easy. I had to look at myself and reflect on things that I weren't doing well. And that's not always pleasant. But you know what? You learn. Just got to put your hand up and say, that's the hardest thing actually, putting your hand up and saying, I don't know. Nobody knows it all. And it's silly really, because when you think about it, you wouldn't do the services on your clients unless you've been trained. Yet for some reason in this country, they don't in all countries, but in this country, they let you run the business. Whether you've got any idea on how to or not. It's pretty funny when you think about it. You know what? You can lose your house and everything if you do it wrong. You can gain a house and do amazing things if you do it right. It's very exciting. If you want to do this with me, if you come through the normal channels, then every time I do a discovery, it's $550, and that's for me. So you can have one of the other coaches and it's a little bit less. I think about $50 less, I think. $495, I think. But for tonight, and when I do a webinar, it always takes 3. So it's all First 3 who come through, I'll always take 3. I'm happy to do it for $350. And that's just my way of saying thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. And if there's anything that I can help you with, please reach out. I think there's a link below or click or something, I don't know. But you can always get in contact with my PA, Andrea. So her number is 0457 607 888. I'll say it again, 0457 607 888. Or there's a link below that you can do it on acuity scheduling or something. It's all very complicated. All I know is if you want me to help you, let's have a chat first and see. Because if we're not a good fit, it's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for me. It's really important that we're a good fit. So I hope you found that interesting tonight. I hope that was helpful to you and that you've thought about yourself as a leader. And that motivation is just part of what you've got to do. It's what you signed up for. If you realise it or not, it is. It is. So now, Jay will take some questions. If you'd like to answer them, Jay, that would be really good. And I'll get on my way. Thanks very much. Bye.
There we go. Now I have to turn the video back on with my bad lighting. Thank you, everyone. Now I have a little link to pop into the chat box below. So just bear with me for a moment while I access that link. In the meantime, does anyone have any questions at all? You'll find the chat box down below. So if you're on your computer, if you move your mouse, the little chat box should pop up down below, and then you can type in just to me, or you can type into everyone. If anyone has any questions. One thing that I always think when it comes to motivation or happiness or success is all of those good things leave clues. So success leaves clues, motivation leaves clues, as does failure and stress and being unhappy. So you don't just wake up in the middle of the night unhappy for absolutely no reason. So there's usually something that has or has not happened to lead up until that point for you to feel the way that you do. So if you have a think about when you have felt the most motivated or the most confident, if you stop and do some critical thinking around what led you to that point, you'll be able to find the recipe to why you feel the way you do today. So even have a think about a time when you felt the most motivated and the most confident. Have a think of that single instance. And it might have been on your 30th birthday or your 50th birthday when you walked into the room and you just had your hair done, you've had your makeup done, your eyelashes filled, your Botox is kicked in from 7 days ago, you've got a brand new dress on, brand new shoes, spray tan, you've even lost 6 kilos for that birthday. What is it that has led you to that point? Maybe you put effort in. Maybe you're feeling proud of your accomplishments. Maybe you just feel good about yourself when you look good on the outside. So I think your emotional intelligence and being able to work out what motivates you is incredibly important in business. It's taken me years and years to harness that, but I'm very grateful that I'm only 33 today. Anyone that hasn't said happy birthday, pop it in the comments box. But I'm very grateful that I was able to harness that at my young age. So the only question that I have so far is, why are you not in Bali? That's a good question. I have a friend of mine that's coming over for dinner next week and we are going to book Bali together. So maybe in the next couple of weeks. Happy birthday, you glorious bastard. So that's a statement. That's not a question, but I'll take it. Young fella, happy birthday, young fella. I'm hijacking the content. Do you have any business related questions? Now, Charmaine has popped in the link for to book in a 15-minute call with Lisa. I'm just going to post that back in there again. There we go. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, we've got a good question here. We have a question from Sharon saying, how can I afford a receptionist? How can you not afford a receptionist? Think about freeing up each of your team members' time by 5 minutes of service. What would that be worth? Put a dollar value on that. Think about all of the desk sales that come through. So when a client walks in and they want to buy a retail product and you've got gloves covered in colour, maybe you're a beauty therapist and you're in the treatment room, you can't possibly give 100% of yourself to that walk-in client. If every second walk-in sale was 2 products instead of 1, do the sums on that. What about all the reports that you spend your time printing? You don't need you, the surgeon of your business, to be printing reports. What about counting stock and ordering stock? So you should be able to get a tangible return on investment. It should increase sales in your business. It should do that through efficiency and proficiency, but you should be able to leverage your time of having a receptionist. The amount of people that are qualified to be a receptionist is incredible. The backgrounds, you could even find someone for 1 day a week and put your toe in the water. But I can put you in contact with lots and lots of people in our Entrepreneurs Collective group. About half of them have a receptionist or a salon coordinator. So you can have a chat to them and find out what is it that they actually do and speak to someone firsthand that has a receptionist. I think when you have 5 or more on team, you seriously need to consider having a receptionist to manage the front end of your business. Cool. We have a question. What is a good way to motivate your team to recommend retail? So, good question. I believe that if you ask really good quality questions to your team, instead of dictating to them, this is why retailing is important. This is why we have to recommend retail. This is the system. This is why you have to do it. This is how many units. Get them to come up with the answer instead. So I believe one huge motivator, especially for our younger generations, the Gen Ys and the millennials, they like the sound of their own voice and they like the sound of their own ideas more than other people's ideas. So if you can get it to be their idea through asking good quality questions, that will cut out a whole lot of time, a whole lot of stress and frustration. So if you were to ask questions like, do you think that it's true if I was to say, we know more about how to look after hair at home than what our clients do? Okay, yeah, no, definitely. Of course we know more. We're hairdressers, we're beauty therapists, we know more about hair and skin. Then would you say it's fair to assume that it's kind of up to us to share that information? Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, no, that makes sense. So what do you feel are some of the things that stop you from doing it consistently? What's the first thing that you could do to overcome that hurdle? So what's the one thing you're going to do to take action on that today after our chat? Cool. So when we touch base in 2 days' time when I work on Friday, what would I anticipate to see on that performance summary? Would it be 2 units per day, so 6 by Friday? So ask really good quality questions. The thing is, when they're thinking for themselves, calculating the answers, they own it. It's their idea, okay? And they like the sound of their own voice. Because I'm one of them, I know. Cool, so start there. Good quality questions, write them down, practice them. So instead of dictating and telling them what to do, ask them for their advice and involve them in the process. I did just a discovery session today, and I was saying to the lovely young lass who I was speaking to, I'm allowed to say stuff like that now, I'm 33, lovely young lass. I said to her, bring out your policy and procedure on how you recommend styling products, because that's what we were talking about. Stick it up on the back wall, and we want your team to scribble all over it, break it apart, circle things that don't make sense to them. And for the second half of the blank piece of paper, they need to can improve that system and what needs to change. Because if they have input, then they have ownership. Well, do that with each of your policies, systems, and procedures. Do one a month and then put them all on rotation. Your policy and procedures manual shouldn't be, here it is. It should be a working document covered in scribble that's constantly out in the salon being reviewed. Cool. I have a young team member who is struggling with motivation. She has great potential and had patches of brilliance before falling back into old patterns. I'm almost at the point where I think maybe it's not for her, beauty therapy. How do you handle a situation where it's time, blah, 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 blah. So at some point, you have to draw a line in the sand. So if you think about even the relationships that you have, maybe you've had an ex-boyfriend or an ex-husband, or maybe even a current husband, that your relationship's crap. It's a 5 out of 10. But we too often hold on to the fact that he was 9 out of 10 in 1994. Doesn't matter if he was 9 out of 10 in 1994. What is he now? And we hold on to those little glimmers of hope, those little patches of when he was a 9 out of 10. But the thing is, we need to think is, what is this husband or partner or team member holistically? If they're averaging a 5 out of 10, you got a problem. Because you cannot 180-degree turn a team member around. You'll die trying. Okay, so don't hold on to the glimmers of hope. You need to draw the line in the sand and let them know very frankly that you can either jump in our boat and row in the direction, or you can row in another direction in another business, but things have to change. We need to also consider that when you give them some actions or tasks to work on, you need to see effort, not results. Results come from effort. So if you see her putting in effort and really trying her hardest, but she's not yet getting results, the results will come from her effort, okay? If she's got the can't be stuffs and she's not showing you that she's putting in that consistent effort and that she's committed, it may be time to start recruiting and look at replacing her or moving her out of your business. So I always say that if I've got a team member that's a 7 out of 10, I can move them up 2 points. I can get them to be a 9 out of 10. So you have to think about, if she's a 5 out of 10, what do you honestly think that you, with your leadership skills, are capable of? If you're only capable of getting someone up 1 or 2 points, are you going to be happy with that? Cool. So draw the line in the sand. I think it's time to have a tough conversation. Cool. Pleasure. What are the techniques, tips to write good advertising scripts? So advertising, or it depends for what. Advertising just in general. So maybe marketing for services and products. The first thing is proof. What's your proof that whatever you're advertising works? What's the testimonial? So a lot of people want to see tangible proof. Also, what problems are you solving? Okay, so you need to list that this is the solution to your problems. Okay, the other thing is people buy off people. So let's say that I'm selling this iPhone here. Okay, so instead of just having a picture of the iPhone, it's a picture of, what's your name? Heidi. It's a picture of Heidi holding the iPhone saying, the reason why I love this iPhone is, one, it's big. And I like that it's big because I've got these short stubby fingers and I press all the buttons at once. The other thing that I love is that I can actually flip it on its side and I can work from it, which is really handy because I'm often on the go and I'm traveling and I need something to work on that's quite big. So it's really, really awesome. I think you'll really enjoy it actually, because you're going to trust my referral not just selling it on benefits and features. Okay, so advertising, it has to come from the heart. People buy from people, and what's the proof that it's going to solve people's problems? Cool. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's go up to see if there's any other questions. No questions, no worries, Heidi. I hope I didn't go just down a rabbit hole and answered something that you weren't asking at all. Feel free to contact me on Facebook or something if you'd like me to dig a little bit deeper around that. That was perfect. Correct answer, Heidi. Thank you. I'm currently rebranding everything. Cards, complete salon with new furniture. I'm stuck with all of my ideas. Wowza, that's a big one. You know what you could do, Sharon, is get people's opinion that are going to be very honest with you. So not just the person that says, when you say to them, does my bum look big in these jeans? And they go, no, you're beautiful, your bum's perfect. You want someone that goes, actually, I think I'd try on another size or a different color. Okay, so go to someone that you know is going to give you a subjective point of view, someone that's going to be brutally honest. Sometimes it's not your best friends or it's not your families. Sometimes they fill your head with bullshit just to keep you happy and to avoid conflict. So ask your clients, ask your team, ask your friends. I'm happy for you to send pictures through to me. I'm happy to be honest. But I think I mentioned it just before as critical thinking. Critical thinking is when you are not doing anything except for just spending time with your thoughts so that you can be completely clear on what it is that you want. There's no distractions. I can't do critical thinking at home. So I'm in my office now and there's papers that I have to tend to, there's checklists that I have to do, there's stuff on my whiteboard that I have to write up before I go to bed, there's washing out there. I'm just too distracted. So when I do my best critical thinking is when I'm exercising, because I go on autopilot, or when I'm walking, and scary, but when I'm driving as well, because I don't listen to music when I'm driving. So I'm just with my thoughts and that's it. So Lisa was presenting in New Zealand on the weekend, and she was mentioning in her keynote that her best critical thinking is when she's in the shower, because you go on autopilot and you just wash your body, you do your thing, and you're just thinking about whatever comes to your mind that's relevant, okay? I was actually walking around a reservoir in Bendigo, where I live, a couple of months back, and there's all these park benches that were sponsored by different families, and one of them had the Chapman family and a little quote, and the quote said something like, sit down, close your eyes, slow your breathing, and see what you can see what you can hear, something like that. Listen to what you can hear. That didn't make sense. And I thought, no one's around. I'm going to give that a crack. So I sat down and I put my feet on the ground. So I was grounded and put my hands on the top of my legs. And I just sat there and I thought, I'm going to open my eyes for as long as I possibly can. And it was incredible because the birds and the wind and the sound of the water, everything actually become really noisy, which it was an incredible experience. So I think sometimes we just need to be still. And if you're a salon owner and you're wearing all the hats, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a cleaner, an apprentice, a receptionist, you're all things to all people, have you really allowed yourself enough time to think things through properly? That's my advice. Cool. Let's have a look here. I do my best critical thinking when I'm on holidays. Let's do that every second week. Absolutely, that's true. Question. Still lots of people hanging on. They must think that my ramblings are good. How do I motivate my team to sell different services So firstly, recommend, not sell. You're not selling anything to anyone. You're not a used car salesman. How do I recommend services? So the first thing is, if I was using this green whiteboard marker and then I was to say, you should try the red whiteboard marker. It's not so far completely removed from the green whiteboard marker. I think where a lot of people go wrong is they say, oh, if you like the green whiteboard marker, you'd love this iPhone 10. No, I wouldn't. How did you pull that out of your bum? So firstly, start with the things that make sense first, okay? So if you're working from the chin up, so maybe you're waxing your mo, talk about waxing here. If you're waxing eyebrows, talk about tinting eyebrows. If you're doing a half leg wax, talk about doing a full leg wax. Maybe talk about threading, or maybe talk about IPL, or maybe talk about aftercare, aloe vera gel, ingrown stop or bumper razor, or a riffy mitt or an exfoliating mitt or a body scrub. Talk about something that's relevant. So I find that is a much easier transition rather than expecting your beauty therapist to go from a $19 eyebrow wax to a $325 needling service, or to go from a lady's haircut and color to $1,000 worth of Russian natural cut extensions. So start with the things that make sense first, okay? So if your clients are already using a cleanser, toner, and a moisturizer, talk to them about an eye cream, talk to them about a serum, okay? Does that make sense? Cool. So the same thing goes with recommending a service as it does with recommending a product. The main difference there is that a service is performed in the salon. Products are taken to maintain and improve their results at home. So if we were to do a timeline, this is how much time that they spend in your business with their services. And this is how much time they spend with their skin and their hair at home. So if you think about what percentage of their problem are you solving in the salon, it might be we're solving 10% of their problems here with the services, and 90% is what they do or don't do when they're at home. So why aren't you spending enough time on this? Doesn't make sense, does it? Cool. Any other questions? Where do babies come from? India, if it's my case. No, that's enough from me. I'm going to do all my notes, put some washing on, and enjoy the rest of my birthdays, and that's sad. All right, everyone, have an amazing night, and you will receive an email tomorrow with all the links to book your sessions with Lisa, and also the recording of tonight's webinar. Hope you enjoyed, and make sure that you give us some feedback. Bye for now.